Good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to participate in our quarterly Info Byte, sponsored by Quest's Equality and Inclusion Council and produced by your employee resource groups. We currently have 5 active ERGs at Quest working to create a safe space for Quest employees to discuss matters pertaining to members of their community, and they're supported by incredible allies and our executive leadership at Quest. Quest Colors, Quest Pride, Women at Quest, Quest Minds, and Quest Parenting are all working together to kick off Pride Month and also celebrate Juneteenth this month. We look forward to sharing content with you throughout the month of June. I'm thrilled to be here with 5 other amazing employees from various regions across the world to discuss these topics and celebrate these wonderful activities. But before we get into the topic at hand, I'd love to just turn it over to them to introduce themselves. Rukmini?
Hello, everyone. I'm Rukmini Devakar. My pronouns I go by are she or her. I'm based out of Bangalore, India. I'm a part of the HR team and I work as a business partner senior advisor at Quest. I'm the chair of Women at Quest ERG and I co-chair the Quest Colors ERG. Over to you, Jake.
Hi, I'm Jake Solis. My pronouns are he, him. I'm an account executive on the One Identity team in Northern California. My family and I live in Pleasanton, California, and proud to be a part of the Pride ERG. All right, Travis, you're next.
Hey guys, Travis Robinson. My pronouns are he, him. I'm currently part of the NPM group. I'm a senior consultant in that group. I live in Delaware, Newcastle, Delaware, with my family, and I'm just happy to be here today. And I'm going to pass it to Oscar.
Hello, everyone. My name is Oscar, and I go by he, him. I'm a support engineer for Data Modeler, and I'm based in Panama, so representing Panama here. This is actually my first ERG at Quest, so I'm so excited to join you and just, you know, to be able to share my knowledge and also my experiences as everyone else. So what about you, Joseph?
Well, my name is Joseph Parks. My pronouns are he, him. I'm on the NPM sales team based here in Austin, Texas. I'm the chair of Quest Pride, and I'm also an ally to all of the other ERGs. In particular, I work a lot with Quest Colors and Women at Quest, and looking forward to working with Parenting at Quest and Quest Minds more as we move forward. Those are our 2 newest ERGs. And over to you, CJ.
Thanks, Joseph. I'm CJ Gregorius. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm the benefits senior advisor for the U.S. employees based in Tampa, Florida. I am proud to be an active member of all of our ERGs because it gives me the opportunity to collaborate with and learn from other colleagues around the world. And to be an ally to those colleagues, some of whom I consider my friends. So really happy to be here. And thank you all for joining us. Joseph.
Thank you. So, it's such an exciting time, Pride Month coming ahead, really to start off and with Juneteenth, there's so much history with both of the communities, with the LGBTQ plus community and the Black community, sort of honoring the history of our past, faced with, lots of levels of oppression, but also celebratory to see how far we've come. I'd like to start off with sort of finding out from each of you, what does Pride Month and Juneteenth mean to you personally? We'll start with you, CJ.
So thanks, Joseph. Pride Month for me keeps our community visible in a way that promotes acceptance, right? So we all come together with our allies, we celebrate the history of our community, our struggles and the victories. In our state, specifically in Florida, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on right now in legislation, and it makes it important to discuss these things in a safe, fun environment. To me, Pride Month gives businesses visibility, and it emphasizes the importance of our communities sticking together. So there's intersectional work that happens during the month, during the year, really, but more of a focus during the month with Pride and Juneteenth. Travis, what does Pride Month or Juneteenth mean to you?
Yeah, Pride Month means a lot to me. I have so many friends and family members who are part of that community. I've been involved in the community most of my life. I've seen how far the community has come in the last few decades. There's still a lot of work to do, but we have earned and fought for everything we have, and we have to keep fighting for everything that we have. So it means the world to me. As far as Juneteenth, I didn't even know about Juneteenth until I watched the episode of Blackish, one time, and I'm like, what is this Juneteenth thing? And I did a little homework, and like I said in my article, I was a little embarrassed that I didn't know about that particular part of American history, not just Black history. And a few weeks later, my kids were talking about it. There was something that came up in their school, so we decided to start celebrating Juneteenth. And we've celebrated it ever since with like-minded, interested people from a cross-section of African Americans, white, Black. It didn't, Spanish doesn't matter. I mean, this is all part of the history of this country. So, yeah, Pride Month. I'm loving it right now. I'm glad we're celebrating it. I'm, proudly putting my banner and background up for everyone to see for all my internal meetings and things. And Juneteenth, like I said, it's a very special occasion in my community. And I encourage everybody to get out there, learn as much as you can, and get involved. And I'm going to pass it to Jake.
Oh, real quick, Travis, just because I similarly to you, I wasn't as aware of Juneteenth, until recent years. I thank goodness it's becoming more celebrated and acknowledged, I think, nationally. But for some of our international colleagues, could you just a quick little summary of what Juneteenth is, what it's honoring?
Yeah, we had this thing called a Civil War in the United States back in the 1800s. The majority of the reason the South wanted to succeed from the North was due to slavery. Lincoln, in his wisdom, said, this is a human rights issue. We cannot sustain ourselves, with slavery. It was a lot of different reasons. The South succeeded. We fought. Lincoln sent Sherman and a bunch of armies from the Union down throughout the South and Southwest to liberate the South from slavery. I mean, obviously, we don't have TV and telephones or cell phones, so there were people who didn't even know that slavery was abolished. So the Juneteenth represents the last group of indentured slaves who were freed by the Union Army. So it's kind of a special occasion because, it kind of ran on for a couple of years after Civil War. There were people who were still, enslaved. So that's kind of marks the end of a turning point in this country and in the world, so it's a very significant event for all Americans, not just Black Americans. So that's a little quick history of what Juneteenth is, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Travis.
Yeah, Travis,
over to
thank
you,
you for that.
Jake. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, when I think about Pride Month, first and foremost, it's a time for my family to remember. My father-in-law came out as being gay after being married, right? And unfortunately, my father-in-law died of AIDS. My wife did home hospice with him the last, several weeks, and his urn's in my living room with several pictures and a Bud Light. And during Pride, we get the family together, tell stories, remember, and so that's one big piece of it. The other piece of it is celebrating the family members. Like my Uncle Tom, like my son Leo, that we do have, our friends, our close friends, like Liza and Trina, and celebrate the community. And, like Travis said, like how far we've come, just in my lifetime, I've seen major changes and still think about how far we need to go. And so, it's important time for me and my family, and happy, as an ally to share that with people, and help change people's minds.
I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
What about you, Rukmini?
It's so beautiful to listen to, everyone telling their piece and how we celebrate. And I think all of us grow together, right, in a community, in a society. So I think for me, this is a great opportunity uh, to learn and see how we can create these safe spaces for everyone. So, very recently, I had this opportunity to attend one of the diversity forums in India, and I happened to acquaint with Prince Manvinder Singh Goyal, and he is to be he's known as the world's one of the foremost LGBT activists, and he's also the first openly gay prince in the world. And he comes from a community from Rajasthan, which is culturally, very, especially for women. They're not supposed to show their face out in public. They kind of are under the wheel. So, of course, in the cities, it's gone away. But then, in very rural areas, especially from where he comes, this is a followed custom. So somebody with that much of responsibility, somebody in that position and power, when they come and create these differences, I think this is that month to kind of celebrate that. And like CJ was saying, legislative changes. India has been seeing so many legislative changes, I think, between 2022 and up until now. And I think this month is that month that kind of gives that opportunity for everybody to learn, to create that awareness, and to uphold. And like all of us is saying, there's so much happening, whether in your country, your city, and it's that momentum that is happening. And I think we should be so grateful for that momentum, because if you go back 2 or 3 decades, there were people who fought for where we are today. And I think today we are trying to create more safe spaces for the upcoming generations. So I think for me, it's that space or that time where we celebrate all these momentums, we celebrate these opportunities, we celebrate this time and kind of, emphasize more. And I think it kind of paves way to, safe spaces for future.
Yeah. We were discussing yesterday with Luann about how, just even having this opportunity to get together and talk about this with our pride banners behind us. I mean, these are things we shouldn't take for granted because, even a decade ago, that was not something a lot of companies were doing. Certainly 20 years ago, not at all. So we have come a long way. What about you, Oscar? What does Pride Month mean to you?
Sure, thank you, Joseph. For me, Pride Month, it's all about sharing, our experiences, and most importantly, hear about, others' experiences, because I think that is very valuable, that we can not only, share ours, but hear from others, other experiences that we have, from friends, from our coworkers, because in that manner we can definitely collaborate as a community to grow up. I think um, you know it's very important for us to always hear from others. You never know how what will be the impact of others people's words. So I think that's the most important for me. And about Juneteenth, I think yeah, Travis already mentioned the most important thing, and he actually definitely put it a definition in for that. But myself, I didn't know was Juneteenth about a couple of days ago. So everything, it's just a learning experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, and to just a very important information here is that, as far as I know, Juneteenth is celebrated in June 19th, and that is my birthday day.
Ah, I love it.
Yes, right. And so many things to to think about here. And there should be a reason why I always say that, um destiny is always important in our life. You can always, um drive your own path, but there's always something that is important for us. So good information there, and always willing to learn, and that is what it's all about for me in those two topics.
Willingness to learn is, I think, one of the most important things of the DEI work we all do every day. So let's talk a little bit about, how we all individually celebrate, Pride Month or Juneteenth. For me personally, some of my best memories of celebrating Pride were when I lived in New York, and I was a part of, I still am remotely, part of a big LGBTQ plus swim team that does international swimming competitions. And I competed at the Gay Games in Paris in 2018. And we would always march down Fifth Avenue together as a team in our Speedos, which was kind of hilarious. And we had water guns, so we would squirt people on Fifth Avenue. It was really quite fun. So that was a great memory for me. But Oscar, let's start with you. Like, how are you celebrating Pride Month in Panama, and what are you doing?
Yes, so it is not like any secret that in Panama definitely is not that evolved. You know, our Pride community and all the, as for the events that can happen. But for sure, I mean, I'm grateful that, and I couldn't say this before, like 10 years ago, that we have noticed so many events and companies that join, right, Pride Month to celebrate. And we do see here, and I have, of course, personally March in June, right? And which is our biggest celebration. And in Panama, uh, there is of course, one weekend that is that where we held that March and that we celebrate. Also, there are so many local events. Let's say in this coast, in restaurants, in companies, of course, as well. So I think the bottom line here is that I'm so grateful, that I have grown up with that evolving, little by little, but it is always very humble to say that I have seen in my country, in the country where I born, all of that evolution and for Pride. So very grateful.
I think it's so important for all of us, because a lot of us live in regions that aren't necessarily, like you said, Oscar, known for being the most progressive. I'm in Texas, CJ's in Florida, but we need to be there. People like us need to be there to represent. So what about you, Rukmini? What are your plans this month, or how do you celebrate?
I think for me, being a part of, HR or being in HR, and being a part of the HR team, I think always gives me that a little bit of an edge, because I constantly ensure that, whatever I learn, or whatever I get to know, I kind of try to incorporate that in maybe my daily aspects while I'm working, or probably, try to create awareness amongst teams. Like, for example, something that we talk of having job descriptions, right? Improvising them, not making it very gender specific, not using that language, right? Using gender neutral language, or also looking at when you address an audience, be very mindful of how you are addressing your audience, whether it's virtually, whether it's a remote session, whether you are physically meeting them. You know, very recently when I was in one of the conference and one of the leaders was sharing their experience, saying, you know, she was conducting a all women session, and you know, I mean, I think it just comes up from your biases, or it's just unconscious, right? You don't think about it mindfully. So she just
Habit,
said,
yeah.
Mm.
yeah, she
Okay.
just said, "Hi, ladies." And I think in some would be some are okay with it. They just brush it down the carpet and say, "No, it's okay." But then in that session, there's one of them who spoke up and said, just immediately my painter said, "Man, you really can't do that because you don't know if it is just ladies in the group, right?" So that was such a learning point for us. So I think like that in HR, we have different phases, whether it's talent acquisition, talent management, or any other teams in HR. I think gives us a lot of opportunity to learn and create that change or make that difference. Like recently, my husband was telling me about Dell installing gender neutral washrooms. I was like, wow. I mean, I think in a country like India, we do see a lot of infrastructural changes. But now when people are coming back to office, here also, like in India, mandatory 3 days, or some offices are open all days. So, you know, making these small little changes, you know, it kind of impacts the overall well-being, impacts the employee morale. Well, some of them might not understand, but it's a huge big deal for the community, right? When you actually say that, hey, I see you, I know you're there, I see you, I value you, and that really matters so much. So you know these things that kind of help me learn. Like I've always said, it's probably not just this month, but I think this month kind of helps us highlight so many different things that's happening in different pockets, and helps me be a great advocate about it, and helps me be a better ally. And I think I always, that's what we did last year. Today I think this year we did like a step up to it, right? So
Yeah.
it's that learning progress, that process. So yeah, that's what I think June will be for me.
Well, I have to give a quick shout, I mean, to people like you, Rukmini, and also we're very lucky to have, you know, CJ Salgado and David York in North America as far who are members and allies of Quest Pride. And, you know, these are the people on the front lines of recruiting, which is a great thing that we have them behind us so that people who are part of our communities, no matter what, can feel like they're going to be seen and heard at Quest. What about you, Travis? You know, you've got both of these to celebrate.
Yeah, for me, I have a daughter who's part of the community. Um, we try to do something like a parade or something involving people, something outside, something public. I think it's important for people to see us celebrating, see us normalize our behavior. You know, there's a lot of fear with people of the unknown. And I think a lot of the hate, well, maybe hate's a strong word, but a lot of the insecurity comes out of fear, you know,
Mm,
and there's really no difference between any of these communities. So it's important to get out there and break down those barriers. And conversely, on the other side, if you're someone who's trying to learn about the LGBT community or the African American community, me as someone who's an African American, I have to give you room to maybe ask a question that you're uncomfortable with. And maybe it's an awkward question, maybe it's even an inappropriate question, but it's my job to encourage you to ask questions and not rip your head off because you asked a question that wasn't appropriate, and saying, well, in this community, we look at it this way and this is how we deal with it. And then they can adjust their behavior. So it works both ways, you know. But yeah, we love going out to the parades. We love doing things, volunteering and doing different walks or this time of the month. But, you know, for me, it's something that's year round. You know, it's in my heart year round for the LGBTQ community. And like Juneteenth falls in the summer. It's weird because there's usually like graduations and birthdays. There's a million holidays that kind of pop up for some reason in June. And this month, June will be no different this year. But we usually try to talk about it. We do something in the house. We might watch a movie as a family and talk about it with some friends and neighbors. So that's how we, you know, celebrate, you know, Juneteenth. We do a lot for Black History Month too, and there's a lot of other things that go on. But yeah, Juneteenth is growing in momentum. It's something that's becoming more and more popular across the entire country. So as the celebrations start to grow, I'm looking forward to being a part of that as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jake, what about you? How will you and the family be celebrating this month?
Well, I think, Travis, I think you touched on something really important. I think you said, it's not my job. I'm not going to rip someone's head off if they say something inappropriate. And I think a lot of people are passionate about something and somebody says something that's maybe ignorant or not right, or they don't feel it's right. They want to attack it. And then it doesn't make it any better, and it doesn't help educate someone. I was in a situation recently. I play poker quite oftenly. I'm playing poker, and the dealer said something, just having the conversation with people, more kids are coming out as gay now. And I heard, they're saying it's because they're teaching it in schools. Right. And I think what he's confusing is they're educating or they're having safe environments at schools to let kids know that, if this is you and you don't feel comfortable with this, or, if your parents don't give you the safe environment, there's resources for you. Right. And instead of, and it made me mad when I hear this guy say this. Right. And so I took the opportunity just to talk through it. And, maybe more kids are coming out because maybe more kids feel safe coming out now.
Yep.
Right. And so I think I just had to talk about that when you said that. And then when I think about Pride Month for me, for my family, I plan on attending the Pride Parade with my wife and my son and my daughter. So 4 or 5 of us will go down. My sister-in-law, friends. So that'll be a big part of it. The San Francisco Pride Parade is like a institution and a lot of fun. I feel blessed to be born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Totally.
When you look at just look at this call that we're on now, the diversity. I mean, this is what the Bay Area looks like. This is what my friends look like. When we think about Juneteenth and opportunities to educate people on what it is, how far we've really come. You think back, it's not that long ago, right? How far we've come. And for me, it's an opportunity to educate my kids. And so it's kind of nice for me just being here. Like I said, in the San Francisco Bay Area, it's a melting pot of ideas and cultures. And so, but now, that my thought, like Travis mentioned, is it's all our jobs now to help educate people. There's this great saying, nobody's, no kid's born racist. It's just taught behavior, right?
Yep.
And no matter how different people are culturally, just be the first one to reach out, right? And that's when the magic happens and you see great things.
CJ, what will you be doing this month to celebrate?
Oh gosh, this month I'm going to celebrate. I celebrate all year long, but Jake and Meanie said something. So Jake's comment about having to say something at your poker game, that is allyship and advocacy in action. And that's what we need as our community, to have people do that when we don't know that they're doing that. So thank you for being brave enough to do that. And then Meanie said something about safe spaces, creating safe spaces for the community. And then Jake followed that up also by saying that schools probably are a safe space for children to come out. I am fully aware that my state is not a safe space. But I'm also fully aware that I know who I am. And I like to think that I'm pretty street smart and know when to speak up, when it's a safe opportunity for me to speak up. And being in a state that's not really safe, we still have our celebrations. So I like to attend as many or volunteer at as many Pride celebrations as I can throughout the state. My state's kind of narrow, so it's maybe 4 hours from one coast to the other. And I have friends in those places. So we'll get together, we'll go to the celebrations. And just as a reminder that these parades started out as marches,
Right.
to educate people, to say, we've had enough of the discrimination, and from marches has turned into a parade as a celebration of how far we've come. So I also like to support businesses that are owned and operated by people in my community, so that letting them know that they are seen, and that we're going to keep coming, we're going to keep being ourselves, and we're not going anywhere. So that's how I celebrate. That's how I celebrate them.
Absolutely. So I know, everyone on this call, we all have our own pride about all of the aspects of our identity, race, gender, sexuality, orientation, gender identity, all of the above. So if anyone would like to share stories of like your journey for that, so for me, I can say, I grew up in Texas, where I currently live. And at the time I was in school and everything, that coming out was definitely not an option. So I can't say growing up, I certainly did not have any pride about my being gay, even though I knew I was at a very young age. And I grew up in a very loving church environment, but still was sort of taught the love the sinner, hate the sin mentality was sort of what I was taught, which is, even though it's not hateful, it is still a negative thing to feel about yourself, because I was sort of, you essentially are taking on that what you are is wrong, right? And then, of course, going to university, and then I lived in New York for 13 years. All of that kind of, opened up, and I have a very supportive family, thank goodness. But, anyone else want to share a story, anecdote of your journey of coming out, or being, your journey to allyship as well? CJ, do you want to start us?
Sure. So coming out, wow. I don't think my coming out story is like the kind that you see in movies. Mom, Dad, I have to talk to you, and I'm gay. Or not like that Ellen episode where she came out to everyone and said it in the microphone, I'm gay. I never had to say those words, right? In my early 20s, I came out first to my friends intentionally, because I was in a relationship with my girlfriend, and I wanted to share my happiness. And when I came out to my friends, my close friends, they all kind of had a collective sigh, like an exhale. Like it was, oh, thank God, now we can finally share in your relationship, and we can finally celebrate with you, and be openly happy for you. And before that, and that was a relief to me, that my friends still saw me as who they have known me to be. And before that, my mom and my family, they knew, parents just know. You think you're hiding or you're masking something from your parents, but your stereotypical mannerisms and fashion betray that effort to the T. So there's no hiding it from your family and from your parents. But even though they knew, they still only always referred to my girlfriends as friends, because back then in the olden days, we didn't have the kind of language that we do now. There weren't safe spaces. There weren't allies. That was non-existent literally, but in retrospect, they were my allies, my parents. They just didn't know how to express that. So I feel like in certain demographics have to come out every day, all the time. You never stop coming out. Although my gayness, I out myself just by being me. So I can't, there's no hiding that. And I think, Joseph, what you said with just growing up and realizing, okay, I can be myself now. I think with age, because I'm not a spring chicken anymore, and just with age, I have stopped really thinking and caring about what other people think of me because I know who I am. So that's my story. It's not earth shattering.
I love it. I love it though. Oscar, what about you? What was your journey like to getting you to where you are today?
Definitely. So, yeah. To be honest, it has it is not the journey that anyone would expect, because sometimes you say like, okay, I know it's gonna be hard, but not that hard. But yeah. So, but I think that rather than just put it on like label it, I will say that it has been interesting, because despite that, as definitely CJ mentioned, that your parents will always know. I know that there's always like that mystery there. That, unless that you literally say to them like, hey, I'm gay, they will never address it, right? So in my scenario, they definitely know. But it's not something that we actually address or talk about it. So it's kind of hide it. But at the end, I am happy that they know, and that they can that we can actually live together, because not um you know it is not, definitely is not easy for for no one, for anybody, but there are other people that cannot say what I am saying right now, and we definitely know that. Yeah, we definitely know that. um uh so, sometimes they are kicked by their parents. So that is actually something that uh, well, we need to think about. I mean, I'm grateful definitely to be able to be with my parents and live with my parents, because other people definitely cannot. And I think that there is other topic there that is, are we talking already, the faith topic?
Yeah, sure, sure. You can tell.
Uh,
I'm sure that influenced you
yeah.
growing up and your family's perception of,
Mm,
being gay.
right, definitely. So my family is very Christian, and I consider myself agnostic at this point, because yeah, at the end you never know. But I always grow up. My aunt was taking me to church and stuff, and a very funny story here is that my mom always tells me, like, when you were little, you used to grab a little chair or anything, and step on it, and you always put your hand on top of other people's head, and you will mock what the pastor will do, and you will always do like yeah, and she always says that to me, and actually that was very funny, and that, I mean, that's always part of your personality. Kids are always that spontaneous, but yeah, that is definitely how impact fade in my personality, but after all, it's always to value those experiences, and have them, or let them, you be what you are right now. So that's the point, definitely.
Yeah, I love kind of what you're highlighting, because basically, even on this call, we see the diversity of the experiences of, like, we have like Jake, growing up in the Bay Area where it's just very, very accepting and so open. And then the other extreme is like people who are their parents kick them out if they come out right away. But a lot of people live in this in between, where, like Oscar, your experience with your family, and then, my family's evolution has they were always good, but like now they're great. Like my parents are the ultimate best allies anyone could ever ask for. And they have two children that are a part of the LGBTQ plus community. But that was a journey and an evolution. But Jake, yeah, what about you? If you want to
Sure.
share about you and your family?
Yeah, CJ, you mentioned something that parents know, parents always know, and I definitely feel it. I definitely feel it's true. And on my son's 14th birthday, had a sleepover, and basically in the morning came out and said, I'm a boy, and my name's Leo now. And before that, when Leo was Lily, I had a thought. I thought, I bet you Lily's probably gay. And I'm gonna kind of wait, and I'm gonna say supportive things and wait for her to be ready. And then on her birthday, this happened, and now Lily's Leo. And it's nice that my wife and I are aligned on this, and it's more, how can we help? Most recently, so Leo's in 8th grade, going into high school next year. Most recently, my wife went to the school district. The name Leo has just been, with friends and family and nothing official. But most recently, she's gone to the school district and said, going into high school, we want the name on all the paperwork when the teacher calls roll to be Leo, not Lily, but oh no, I actually want to be called Leo. No, this is Leo. And the school district said, this is so great. We get a lot of requests like this. Most times the kid wants to do it and the parents are fighting it.
Right.
And when you guys are both aligned, it makes it super easy. And I said, wow, number one, it's great that the school district is so easy to work with when we're aligned. Number two, it tells me there's a lot of other kids that need help. And so part of the education piece that, Travis, you were bringing up, it's like, man, let's help some of these other parents understand where their kids are coming from. Let's help other people who maybe don't get it. And so, as an ally, that's what we do.
Absolutely.
Can I just say something about that and how lucky Leo is to have parents that advocate for him. For those that are watching this and listening to this, I just want to do a shameless plug for 2 organizations that can help if you have a child, or if you know someone who has a child that is transgender. The Gender Cool Project is a resource that you can go to, and you can also go to Out and Equal. They are the largest LGBTQ plus organization that helps businesses, and they're global. So if you have questions, or if you want any more information about how to help someone that is going through transition, or just in that gender exploration stage, let us know, because Quest Pride can help, and Quest Pride can help you and your families and your loved ones, even friends and family that are not, part of Quest. We have resources for you, so don't be afraid to ask.
I think it's so great that you said that. I just want to share something. I was traveling yesterday, and so we had a layover, and I was with a colleague, and we're talking about, how our training was. It was a great company, and I said, what's really been great is, I joined the Quest Pride group, and I explained that, I have a transgender kid, and he said, wow, that's really great. And then I pulled up on my phone the blog that I wrote, and I said, just read this. And he said, this is so awesome. When I was growing up, I had a friend, and he came out, and his dad was very, very Catholic and disowned him, and he committed suicide.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah. And he said, it's so, refreshing to see, you do this for your son. And it's like, You know,
Absolutely.
I think if we all get out there and help educate people, you can save someone's life.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rukmini, what about you? Your journey on this topic?
Yeah. So, seeing this transition. So, this happened when I was in my teens. One of my very close relatives came up to the family. And at that time, when we didn't have these resources, like CJ was saying, like Jake was saying, and India being highly cultural, highly traditional, uh, and where we were colonized and we lost that piece of, that 100 years is where we kind of lost our piece of information that had to be, kind of transferred through generations. So if you go back and like read our history or go to our last year's info byte, you'll see that entire chunk where I explained about how it was before colonization, how our scripture spoke of it, how it was followed down the systems and cultures we had. And at the time when this happened in my family, I think it was seen as a taboo. It was seen as a stigma. It was seen like, hey, you just need to go to the doctor. You just have a, issue. It'll just be all right. It was like just you have a fever, take a medicine, and you'll be fine. Well,
Right.
people at that time didn't understand the depth of it, and like all of you saying, family being the safe space. It happened so that it wasn't possible. But this relative of mine had a great support system, so was able to move away from India and settle down, and now comfortable. He's happy. His parents go visit him. But when he has to come back to India, it's difficult for him because brings back lots and lots of memories and those stigmas and taboos. And still there is that I should say 30-70, maybe I wouldn't say 50-50 at this time with India because there's so many things that need to change because we are so diverse. We're highly diverse and the different religions and sects and different kinds of practices that we've had. It's so difficult out there. But like we've seen, I think this is an education piece, right?
Mm.
And I also feel the intent. We need to have that intent saying, don't be ignorant. Uh, Everything is happy and fine for you, great. But there are other communities as well. So try and respect them, try and create those safe spaces, be kind, give love. That's so very important. And when he sees that change now that's happening all over, and finds it happy, finds it refreshing, and says, "I wish I had the support then." Right?
Yeah.
So that's what made me very I think learn about the community, try and be an ally, try and do my bit or my piece that I can. I keep telling my family folks as well, saying, that's not the thing, this is what it was, this is what our law said, this is what our culture said, this is what we have in our scriptures, like something that is there, it's right there. You just need to read, don't be ignorant. They always say have that right intent, and I think we'll reach where we have to reach.
Yeah. Travis, what about, the journey with you and your daughter, and how's that been?
Yeah, for me, well, first of all, I like the word journey. I like the word evolution, but the journey
Okay.
never stops. As
Yes.
long as there are marginalized groups in this country, in the world, we have to keep fighting. We have to be vigilant. Um, we hurt ourselves as a society by holding people back and not letting them take part in all aspects of our society. And I say this over and over again. I mean, how many Albert Einsteins, how many great, doctors, how many great, inventors that we never met because we put some restriction on them because of who they love or how they look. It's counterintuitive. It doesn't make sense, and it's not enough for people of the community to just fight for that community. People who are adjacent or aligned with that community, you have to stand up, you have to fight. You have to advocate for those communities. It's not enough to say, well, I'm not racist, I'm not prejudiced. But when you see racism, when you see anti-homophobia behavior, you don't speak up. While we were talking, God, I hadn't thought about this for probably years. I remember one of my first jobs out of college. I had a friend, and she was just a great person. she was clearly gay, no big deal. We were friends. We'd hang out and we talk. We'd have lunch together. And I remember one day, this was in a data center. I remember like it was yesterday. She was talking with a few other people, and this guy came up and he was talking. Then he said the most anti-homophobic, dirty, just mean thing. And it was in front of everybody and no one said anything. And I remember feeling so bad later that day because I didn't speak up for her. I mean, it bothers me till this day, and it's like, man, I didn't have the courage to speak up. And I promised myself I'd never let that happen again. And that really hurt her. I could tell, and even our friendship was never the same after that because she was just so hurt. So you got to speak up. You don't know what that does to a person, so you have to advocate for all marginalized communities. It's important to fight. I mean, it's not just for my daughter. It's for Joseph. It's for Oscar. It's for everybody. It's for CJ.
Yeah.
We've got to stand up for one another. So
Exactly.
that's
100%.
that's my message.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
There's
I
a big
think our
movement right now, Stop Asian Hate.
Oh,
And there's
yes.
been just a lot of, gosh, even here in the Bay Area, there's just been a lot of vicious crime against Asian people
Yes.
randomly. And it's, got to stand up for everything, I think, like you said, Travis.
Yeah, I think, the final thing I was going to chat about was really just about how to be an ally, which I think we've all hit on, which is to get involved. If you see something wrong, to say something, and also just being supportive of your colleagues, friends, family, or even a stranger on the street who might be different than you, just embracing that change and not being afraid of it. Get involved, go to a parade, go to a march, go to a gay bar, go to a drag show. We will be having a drag show for you at the end of the month with an entertainer named Schwa. That will be how we're celebrating the end of Pride Month. CJ, you had a couple thoughts on allyship, just sort of your advice that we can take us home with that.
Oh my gosh, as allies to Quest Pride and Quest Colors, all of you can support our communities by being bold, right? Don't be in that situation that Travis was in years and years ago where there was no language. Your voices are impactful, so speak up and speak out. If you see or hear someone that's being misgendered, or if you hear or see microaggressions, speak up. We in our communities, we have to be bold every day just to be who we are. So your support and your advocacy means so much more to us than you will ever know.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for being here. This has been great. I think we could talk about this all day. And if any of you want to continue this conversation, please stay on after the call. We will have a Q&A with the panel, and you can get more engaged and go off mute and share your thoughts. If you'd like to join any of the ERGs, you can email eicouncil@quest.com, or, easy enough just to ping me in Teams. I can connect you with the leaders of the ERGs and the council, add you to the membership. We'd love to have you. Next quarter, we'll be doing an info byte that will be led by Quest Minds. We'll be talking about neurodiversity. Really look forward to that. In the meantime, thank you so much for being here. Have a great Pride Month and take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.